Hello, I've just seen a report on the in the UK saying that there is an unprecedented amount of stillbirth babies being born by people who've had the jab, by women who have had the jab. And I want to talk about my stillbirth experience and how it changed my life and the impact on my life as well. So we're going to go back about 30 years. It was where I was 9 months and 3 weeks pregnant, and the doctor I was using, she didn't want to induce me because she didn't believe in it. I found out later why she didn't believe in it was she'd actually induced a lady many years ago who had promised her that the baby was overdue, and the baby wasn't overdue at all. Ended up being 20 weeks and was a preemie baby and in terrible despair, and it ended up dying. And so from that, I found that out after the event. Anyway, I went into her office that morning. She checked the baby, said it had a healthy heartbeat. When I checked into the hospital having labour pains that evening around 5 o'clock, they checked the heartbeat. Yes, I had 5 professionals check the heartbeat, saying that the baby was alive, well, and everything was fabulous. When I entered the hospital, I had a monitor put on me, which was a great big machine, and that monitored the baby's heartbeat. So everything was good. And then about 6 o'clock, the heartbeat started becoming intermittent, but they had taken the machine off me because the lady next door had been struggling giving her baby and her machine was broken. So they took the machine from me and left me with a student doctor monitoring the heartbeat. Now, this is a hospital in northern New South Wales. We're not talking about a third world country here. And what happened next was the student doctor couldn't find the heartbeat. She went to get the midwife next door. The midwife next door didn't come for half an hour because she was still struggling with the lady. When she came in, she was disgusted with me that how dare I sort of interrupt her from from doing the lady next door. And of course, she came in and she couldn't find the heartbeat. They hadn't found the heartbeat for about half an hour. So they managed to get the emergency doctor who was handling all the emergencies downstairs to test. And that was about, I think about 7:30 by then. And of course, she was having trouble finding it. And they ended up getting the specialist in. By the time they got me downstairs, it was 9 o'clock, but it was in the time of AIDS. So the room wasn't prepped. There was blood everywhere. They couldn't give me a blood transfusion. And so they knocked me out. Once they cleaned the room up, they knocked me out. They went into the kitchen. They didn't have staff. They didn't have nurse on staff to help. So they had a cook in the kitchen who they asked if she would help with the operation because she used to be a nurse. And by the time all the staff came in and they did me a cesarean, they resuscitated Jamie for 10 minutes. That she got trapped in my pelvis, they told me, and went into fetal distress. However, they just didn't get her out in time. And that's what I was told back then. However, after the operation, they put me into the maternity ward because there weren't any beds. And that was the only space they had for me. And the emotional trauma of seeing all the ladies with the babies around me, and I felt such a failure. I felt such a failure. God, as a woman, how can I not even produce a baby? It was, and the pain, the physical pain, they'd slashed me in an emergency. My scar is very crooked from hip to hip. They'd done it in such haste. They actually cut the baby's head. And Jamie, I got to hold her the next day, and she was perfect in absolutely every way, absolutely perfect. And if you saw a picture of her and my daughter, who was born 18 months later, Cara, they're like identical. They both look very similar. So from the hospital, I had the physical scars. The baby had kicked me inside out, so I could hardly walk. It took me a long time to even get out of bed, and the pain and the suffering from the damage that was done and the operation and everything. But it was the emotional and mental pain that was the worst. Christmas was a really hard one. I remember I went off. I was in. I saw somebody smoking, a pregnant lady smoking in a mall of a supermarket, and I was furious. How dare she? Like, she's smoking. You know, people drinking and pregnant. That used to really upset me, because I'd done what I believed to be the right thing during my pregnancy and didn't do any of that. And then there was her birthday. Every birthday, Jamie would be 1, Jamie would be 2, Jamie would be 21, Jamie would be, and on it goes. And Christmas, what would our family be like with Jamie here? Cara, I told Cara when she was 2 years old, I sat her down and I said, darling, I've got a family full of skeletons, and I don't want our family to be like that. And I said, I get emotional every time I say this, because I said to her, darling, you've got a sister and she's in heaven, but she's here with us. And Cara, she just howled. She howled and howled. She knew exactly. She was only 2, but she knew exactly what I meant. And, you know, she so desperately wanted a sibling. And interestingly enough, I left my husband years later, and she ended up with 2 other siblings, which is another story for another day. However, the anguish, you know, what it did to my marriage, what it did, you know, people can't handle baby deaths. Like, they see you in the street and they walk away from you. They walk across the other side of the street, or when they, you know, when you're talking to them, they will speak to you, but they're trying to get away because they just don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. And this goes on for years and years. It's not just the tragedy of the baby dying. It's all the emotional stuff and all the emotions that you have to go through. And I'm seeing that these babies are being stillborn, and the parents, the mothers and the fathers, like my husband, I don't believe he ever did emotional work around him standing, looking at them, trying to resuscitate her for 10 minutes. So when I had Cara, I had it in the same hospital because I figured they couldn't mess it up twice. And I was told by one of the nurses in the hospital that what they'd done is they'd changed the autopsy and said that Jamie had actually died 3 days prior to her being born, which is incredible because specialists tried to resuscitate her for 10 minutes. So I don't know how that worked. And five doctors tested her and heard her heartbeat. And I heard her heartbeat on the monitor too that same night. So I don't know how that works. And what that made me do many years later is regret not taking them to court. And I should have done that had I known that was going to happen. But anyway, it's a thing of the past. My warning to those that haven't had the jab and are considering it, especially if you're young enough to have children, even the males, they're saying that you may not be able to have children because of that. Now, do your own research. Don't believe me. You can believe everything I said about the stillbirth, though, because it's the most painful thing. And if you think you might have children sometime in the future, think long and hard about the jab, because it will be a life changer either way. And that's it for now. Kerry Murcell, if anybody has had a stillbirth and would like to speak to me about it, I'd love to cry with you. And you can find me, you know, through this channel, through YouTube channel. If nothing else, I'll come and check it every now and then, and I'll post it on social media as well. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and good luck, whatever your decision is. Remember, it's your choice, nobody else's. And just so that you can go to a club, nightclub, wedding, hotel, or whatever, it's not worth jeopardizing your future. And I believe that's what you'll be doing. Anyway, bye for now.